Yo, excuse my attire. I know I've been flyer. There's a heat wave out in SoCal and I ain't trying to perspire. Yoshifumi's liver, Undead 125er. Now let's get into this. I can cover it with my spiders. Hey, drop a comment for me. Tell me how you felt about this chapter, but also tell me how you felt about that intro. That shit was fire. And drop a like for that intro if you could too. Or you could wait till the end of the video if you actually like this, but nah, that intro deserved a like. However, chapter 126 of Undead Unluck. We got opened up with something very cool for this chapter. A color page which kind of commemorates everything that we've experienced throughout this entire first loop. From Fuko's sad shut-in days at the beginning of things, where she was scared to show herself to the world, to Andy's beginning as well. Roaming the lands as this lost individual, not knowing who he was and if he had a purpose. To that inflection point, the day where both their lives changed for the better and they got thrown into this crazy gigantic scheme, this plot to defeat God. To right now, as both of them prepare to take this gigantic leap within their life, kind of like marriage or some shit, where they're truly putting their lives on the line for the sake of each other, but for the sake of everybody else as they're, trying to go into the next loop and accomplish this grandiose task. As we begin things, Fuko is sitting there and she's fully accepted it. She's telling Jules that yes, I am ready for this. I'm ready to put the team on my back and carry this sack on to the next loop. But the Apocalypse book chimes in. He always has to get his 2 cents whenever you're anywhere within the premise of the round table. And he's just kind of confused. He's like, damn, Jules, I'm surprised. You finally gave up this position as the #1 person. You're finally letting somebody else board the arc. I feel like that's some sort of mistake. But Jules is just like, shut up, bro. We've been friends for a long time. We got a long history together. And she just feels this sort of commemoration for him. They've been through a lot together. And she says at one point that, that she's always thought of him as a comrade throughout all of this. And this kind of upsets the Apocalypse book. He's a bit embarrassed, obviously. He doesn't know how to take this. He's always, he's an Uma at the end of the day. An artifact, but sort of an Uma. And, their only thing is to make human beings suffer. So as he just kind of gets flustered up, he's just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up. There's one thing that you actually have to do before you can even use the arc. And that's to become qualified for using it. And that first qualification, what you must meet, is to have a large quantity of points. Whenever you clear a quest, slay an Uma, or capture one, you accrue points. But all Fuko has is 4, from Spoil, Autumn, Summer, and Spring. And that sounds like it's a bad situation for us to be in. However, via what Rip had told us earlier in the series, we already know who the highest point holder was. Victor. And we have that individual within the room. Andy actually kind of halfway transforms into Victor on some Two-Face shit. So I'm guessing right here a new level of the Andy-Victor collaboration. I guess they are able to both be present at the same time because Victor comes up and he starts talking through Andy, I guess to say, because both of them are right there. He's like, I know that you can transfer points though. He reaches out to Luna and he says, Luna, let's make a deal. I want you to transfer all of my points to Izuma Fuko. And I think that right here, it was both Andy and Victor. I know that Andy doesn't have too many points, just given he's only slayed so many Umas, he's only been a part of so many quests. However, I'm just thinking that both of them are fully present at the moment. In regards to sharing points, Victor says something very interesting. Perhaps God expected us to fight among ourselves for them, but they miscalculated. And the more and more I learn about God, this person who has set up this gigantic rule set around the world, the person who's supposed to be omniscient, omnibenevolent, and omnipotent, all-powerful, I just don't believe it, bruv. I don't believe it, mans. I just continuously am starting to think that this person, and you'll hear my explanation in the conclusion, like it could just be a god who's bad at his job, but I really believe that more so than a god, it could truly be like a negator who's got a very deific negator ability, something like uncreate, undestroy, something which actually allows you to create or destroy or do whatever the heck you want with your ability, or something that's like a concept typed Uma, the stronger of the Uma types, and it's just a very strong concept type Uma, something like creation, I don't know, but it's just a very jealous individual. It's a very mistake-ridden individual. It does a lot of things and it sets up this gigantic game for the negators to play. However, it's losing this game in some capacity. And I know God, being omniscient, all-knowing, wouldn't really ever find itself in this position. It seems like somebody who thinks they're better than everybody else trying to display that, but they're losing that game. And I think the god, even if it was playing a game, at the end of the day it would win. And Ragnarok is kind of his trump card, it's winning thing, but like the arc's still a thing. They're still going to move forward to the next loop, and they still have a very high chance, probably the highest chance they've ever had, to completing this task. And I don't know. It's a very interesting thing, this god in Undead Unluck, and I'm really excited to see what happens during Ragnarok if we get any sort of true glimpse into what this individual is. But Luna accepts that request, stating that this is a deal. This will be the turning point for everything, and I shall see it through to the end. Thus, Fuko is granted these points and becomes qualified to sit in the first chair at the Union HQ, that round table, and she is the new boss of the Union. And Fuko obviously has a little bit of doubts about this. She just got a very large task handed down to her from Jules, a woman who'd been trying to accomplish this task for a very long time. But at the end of the day, she still feels confident in her ability, given the experience that she's had in the Union HQ, given everything she's learned from people like Jules, people like Andy, and all that, has come during this past loop. And she is ready for this as the new boss. But she wants to thank Jules for all she's actually done for her. While talking to Jules, she says she knows she's weak, but she remembers something Victor told her. That she's just like Jules, that she's willing to bet it all for the people she cherishes, and that she has the soul, the spirit, to accomplish this task. And she continues thanking Jules for all of her work throughout the loops, for forming the Union, for constantly going through tragedy, and all in all, just for being her. And Jules kind of agrees that, yeah, we are just like each other, because she is a crybaby, as they have this very intimate moment before a very scary situation is actually about to proc itself up now. So if you're an Undead Unluck fan, you know that shit's never sweet in this series, and Andy's the first to notice that. He says that the Trimmers are continuously getting bigger around them, and the Apocalypse book speaks up too. He's like, yeah, they are, because you guys haven't fully qualified to use the Arc yet. The last step of using the Arc is actually something which is a kind of hidden rule. Whenever you start it up, you initiate it, and then you have to wait as many minutes per there are chairs at the round table. So it could have been 10 at the beginning of the series, however, right now, the most chairs there's ever been, 11, need to pass before they use the Arc. And during that time, they must endure Ragnarok, and we see them enduring God's attack already. We see an image of Earth that is taking continent-shattering blows, large impacts popping up all over, and I am terrified to an extent. What are we about to be out there fighting? I wonder what's leaving blows that large. It could be, if you break it down to being realistic, it could just be like spring strength individuals, spoil strength individuals. Spoil has that spoil ray. He could definitely spoil something large and explode the entire area. However, what is out there doing this right now, I'm excited to see, and apparently Jules is as well. Jules says that every time before this, since she was the highest point holder, the number one seat at the Union, the person who actually had to, sit down in that chair, she's never been able to go out and fight. She just had to watch her allies go out and fight to their demise. But this time, she gets to put her life on the line to ensure that her new boss gets through to the next loop. And she sends Fuko off saying that she's going to go do that. And we are in for it, baby. Chapter 125, bro. That shit was live. Such a good chapter of Undead Unluck. This chapter felt so good for me. It really felt like we're at a halfway point right here. I know it sounds funny to say, but it really feels like Yoshifumi is going to give us every step of the way until the end of this series. And it just brings me a lot of excitement, happiness, and kind of washes away the worries we had months and weeks beforehand, thinking that the series was going to end sometime soon. I think that hopefully Shueisha's fully behind this mad lad Yoshifumi, and they're trusting what Undead Unluck's giving us. I'm excited to see sales sometime soon. However, it's popping. It's a very good series, and it really feels like we're going to get the time and effort put into it, which it deserves. And as I was saying, I really hope we get a glimpse of God's power during these next 11 minutes. That was a dope name for the chapter, and I'm very excited to see what these next 11 minutes bring forth. We already saw these earth-shattering blows that were going on, no Naruto level shit, but it's some big boy energy that is being expunged upon the earth. So bro, excited to see what that has entailed for us. want to see like maybe 2 to 3 Umas that we just can't take down, that we're gonna have to know like, yeah, those are coming up next loop, because obviously that's a big part of the series and something that we haven't gotten to see too much of recently. We got Ghost and we got Seal recently, along with the mad lads who Ruin fights with. However, I need to see some new Umas, some humanoid big boys just like freaking Spoil, just like Burn. Would love to see some new concept types just like that boy Ghost. Like, dude, Undead Unluck's got me so excited right now. I hope you all are too. And dude, let me tell you one last thing. Next loop, the first arc, I'm 100% certain. We're saving Abraham Lincoln and freeing the slaves.